Suburban Sentinel here, along with Bella the camera cat. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about magazines. Not the kind you read, but specifically firearms magazines. Now, I'm going to break this video series up into three parts. First, I want to discuss design criteria for firearms magazines. And then, in the second and third parts, I'd like to discuss magazine myths and magazine maintenance, respectively. Here in the first part, I want to begin with the very basics. And this is not to insult the intelligence of those who have significant experience with firearms. My intent here is to help familiarize those who have little to no experience with firearms with some of the basics. I want to help bring more people into the world of firearms. Here in America, we are blessed with Second Amendment rights, and the more people that exercise those rights, the easier it will be to defend and maintain our rights. So all newcomers are welcome. And I think I speak for many other people who are on the internet or on YouTube that it's never too early or too late to learn, and that we are here to help. Before getting into the nitty-gritty, just a disclaimer. I'm not a gun guru or a gun expert, and I'm not a gun designer. All of my engineering experience is from the aerospace industry. So anyone and everyone with superior knowledge to mine is certainly welcome to issue corrections and or further explanations to anything I say here. So let's get down to business. What exactly is a magazine? The classic definition of a magazine is any vessel that contains or is able to contain arms or ammunition. This was and is not limited to either vessels that either attach to or are part of a firearm. In the 17th and 18th centuries, buildings that contained arms were often referred to as magazines. In addition, on naval vessels, the compartments that stored ammunition are called magazines. But in this video, we're going to focus on one type of magazine, and that is what is commonly referred to as a detachable box magazine, some of which you see in front of you. Now, there's nothing special about these. I just had these particular magazines handy this morning. There are many other types of magazines associated with firearms, for example, rotary magazines, but we'll save that for a later video. So let's begin with the basic components and nomenclature of a typical firearms magazine. And Bella is up here to assist. And I'm just going to grab this guy here. The body of the magazine, or the vessel that holds the cartridges, can be made of a variety of materials. The most popular of which are steel, aluminum, and polymer. This AR-15 magazine happens to be made of polymer. The next component we'll discuss is what is called the follower. Let me see if I can get a little close up. The follower is simply this little plate here upon which your stack of cartridges rides upon. And if I were a real cool tactical guy, I'd be pointing with a $200 tactical knife. But since I'm not, I'm using a 50-cent letter opener. The way it works is that your stack of ammunition sits on top of that follower under spring pressure, and the spring tends to push your stack of cartridges up towards the top of the magazine. Another important part of the firearms magazine are what are called feed lips. So let me see if I can get the camera to focus in here a little. The feed lips are these two pieces of bent material that kind of cover a portion of the cartridge. This serves two purposes. First, the feed lips secure the cartridge inside the magazine so that under spring pressure the cartridge doesn't come flying out. And second, the feed lips allow the action of the gun to strip one cartridge at a time into the chamber for firing. So the bolt would come forward, strip one round out, and this round would be fed into the chamber, and the next round is under spring pressure being readied for subsequent firing. So let me put this back down. Another important part of the magazine is what's typically referred to as the base plate. I'll just grab this polymer AR magazine here, and right here you can see the base plate. And this has two functions. One, it keeps your cartridges in the guts of the magazine from spilling out the bottom. And second, the base plates are removable for servicing your magazine. Let's see if I can do this on camera here. And when you do take these magazines apart, keep your finger on the spring so everything doesn't fly out. But as you can see, the magazine disassembles quite easily. Now that we have this apart, let's take a closer look at the spring. Most magazines use a single spring. Some magazines use more than one spring for a variety of reasons. But this is a simple single spring affair. And the spring is the heart of the magazine. Again, the purpose of the spring is to drive the stack of ammunition towards the top of the magazine so that one round at a time can be stripped off and fed into the chamber. Note that the rounds higher up in the stack in the magazine are under more spring pressure than the rounds set lower, simply because when the magazine is loaded to capacity, the spring pressure increases under the load. Therefore, the spring needs to be designed to ensure that even that very last round has enough force behind it to be shoved to the top of the magazine so the bolt can chamber the round. In addition, the spring must be designed so that it can be recompressed so that the next load of ammunition can be inserted into the magazine for subsequent firing. The spring must be designed and manufactured such that this process can be repeated thousands and thousands of times. Now, the engineering behind all this can be quite complicated, but the fundamental attributes of the spring we can credit to the 17th century British physicist Robert Hooke. Now, Hooke was kind of an unusual guy. Hooke devised a theory which is now commonly known as Hooke's theory of elasticity and is the foundation of modern spring design. I'm going to reassemble this magazine as I'm talking here, but Hooke chose to publish his work not in the conventional manner, but as a Latin anagram. And for those of you unfamiliar with anagrams, an anagram is a puzzle where you take all the letters from a single word or phrase and mix them up so that it forms a different word or phrase. And as kooky as that may sound, publishing your work in the form of a Latin anagram, Mr. Hooke waited 18 years before publishing the solution. And I don't really know if anyone had solved the anagram before then. Anyway, I don't want to get too far into the nitty-gritty of Hooke's law and all that other kind of stuff, because quite frankly, it's very complicated and kind of boring. But the bottom line as far as us gun enthusiasts is that springs are generally what are called elastic, meaning that when placed under load, the spring will, after the load is removed, return to its original shape. An elastic material stands in stark contrast to what's called a plastic material, which when placed under load will not return to its original shape. So absent the elasticity offered by the modern spring, this magazine would not work. So why is all of this important? The reason is that magazine problems are one of the primary causes of stoppages and failures in firearms. If you're just plinking around at the firing range, that's not really a big deal. But in a self-defense situation, hearing a click when you're expecting a bang will be a really bad day. So thanks for watching, especially you beginners out there. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask. There are a number of folks here willing and eager to help all you newbies. So in part 2, we will look at the specific causes of magazine and magazine-related failures. And we will also discuss certain myths that prevail in the firearms industry concerning magazines. So thanks for watching. This is the Suburban Sentinel.